So Michael Venom Page defeats Douglas Lima via split decision at Bellator 267. It went down last night in my hometown in London, in the SSE Arena in Wembley. I was there to watch it live and direct in person. But the question is, did Douglas Lima deserve to win that fight? Was it a robbery? Was it a robbery? Before we talk about that, my name is Rahul J. and this is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. Alright, look. When I left the arena last night, I left feeling as though Lima should have had his hand raised. I think it's universally kind of agreed upon that the second round was won by MVP and the third round was won by Douglas Lima. And it all kind of boils down to who you believe done more in the first round, and that kind of decides who wins the fight, right? The first round itself, it splits up into two because it started off obviously on the feet and MVP was getting the better of Douglas Lima, and then Douglas Lima eventually secured the takedown where he controlled MVP for the remainder of the round. Now, as I watched the fight unfold right before my very own eyes in the arena, I felt as though Lima did enough to win that first round, which is why I thought Lima won the fight. So this morning, I was looking on social media. I saw a lot of people echoing those sentiments. Even like esteemed esteemed members of the MMA community, people like Luke Thomas. I'm pretty sure he said he felt Lima won. And there was a few people crying robbery, and I kind of even last night, and even though I was extremely drunk last night, I consumed a lot of alcohol, but even in my drunken haze, I did feel as though actually it was a close round. You can't call it a robbery, right? So I decided to get my Luke Thomas on and watch it back on the TV, that TV right there behind me. So I watched the fight, and actually my opinion changed. My opinion changed because MVP, I feel, did more damage in the stand-up, in the striking exchanges at the start of the first round than Lima did when he had MVP down. Like, when from the view that I had last night, I couldn't see exactly what Lima was doing on the ground. I could just see that he was controlling MVP. But MVP actually did a good job of stifling Douglas Lima by controlling the wrists and not letting Douglas Lima work, and just kind of I think his whole game plan once on the ground was to just tie him up and try and make Douglas Lima's life as difficult as possible, so he's as inactive as possible, in the hope that the referee stands him up. Obviously that didn't happen because the bell for the end of the first round sounded, but if I weigh up what Lima did when he was in control and compare it with what MVP was doing on the feet, I feel as though MVP did more damage, and off the basis of that I've got to give him that round, which means, in my opinion, MVP won the fight. The right guy got his hand raised, and obviously some people might have a different opinion of what they saw, and they might have a different perception of the fight, and that's good. But one thing that I think is 100% is that this was not a robbery. The fight was close, but it wasn't a robbery. Like I said to you guys, I was quite drunk last night at the event, and the reason is, like, I go to an MMA event put on by an American promoter because I want to see fighters that are I'm familiar with, that I might not otherwise get to see very often. What we basically got last night was a domestic European show with two big names in the main event, and I was disappointed by the card. And that's no disrespect to any of the fighters on the card, because obviously there was a lot of talent performing last night, a lot of talent fighting last night. There were some entertaining fights, but I just wasn't invested in any of the other fights because I didn't know a lot about the other fighters, or I didn't know a lot about the fighters on the card, which basically led me to keep getting up off my seat and going to the bar and buying myself a beer, which later turned into Hennessy and Coke, which is something that I don't drink very often. But I bumped into an old high school friend, big up yourself, Cully, and that is what led to my unraveling and me getting absolutely smasheroony. It was actually quite funny. Like, so I applied to. I applied for media credentials for the event, and that's why I'm actually using this mic, because usually I use this mic here, but I'm not. I'm using this mic in my hand, and the reason why I've got this mic is I spent nearly £1,000 on new kit. So this camera that I'm recording on is brand new, cost nearly 700 quid. This mic itself was over £100. But I bought all of this stuff because I applied for media credentials and I got approved for media credentials. So I was all excited and I thought to myself, right, I'm actually going to go and interview fighters you know, at an event. How exciting. So I went and bought all of this new kit. And then that didn't happen. And the reason that didn't happen is because I'm not double vaxxed yet. And part of the policy is if you're media, you have to be double vaxxed. And if you're not double vaxxed, you have to come, stay in the hotel, get tested, quarantine, and all of that stuff. And if you provide a negative result, then you're allowed out in the wild to do your thing. And I was actually willing to do that. I was willing to do that at my own expense. But it turns out that they didn't have any spare rooms for me to stay in, which is why I wasn't able to go there as media. So I had to just go there as a normal fan. I was actually, to be fair, one thing I do need to say is they gave me a free ticket for the inconvenience, which is really nice of them. So that was my Bellator experience. I'm a little bit kind of disappointed with the card. Again, not the quality of the fighters, just the lack of names that I'm familiar with. It's funny because there was actually a Cage Warriors show on last night as well, and that was full of obviously domestic fighters, and it just felt like that. It felt like a Cage Warriors show with Douglas Lima and MVP headlining. I just feel like Bellator really has been declining a lot of late. And I'm going to make a separate video talking about that. But in terms of, let's bring it all the way back to the two headliners, the main event, MVP and Douglas Lima. I feel like actually going back to my point about Bellator declining, MVP actually spoke recently about his interest in jumping ship and going to the UFC, and he spoke about how, you know, he was open about the fact that the best in the world are in the UFC, and it's something that he'd like to compete against. And now with this win, it looks as though he's getting a title shot next. I forget the guy's name, Amisav or whatever his name is, the champion. See, this is the state of Bellator. Like, I'm sat here talking about the welterweight champion and saying whatever his name is. Like, I don't think I'd be able to recognise, what is his name? Amisav Arlasov or something like that. I'll tell you guys shortly because I have the internet in front of me. And also, like I feel like I need to say this now because I keep catching myself doing it. Because this is a brand new camera, I usually film on my mobile phone, but now I've got an actual proper camera, right? And the problem that I'm having is it's got a flip screen. And then I keep looking at myself in the flip screen over there, but the lens is here. And obviously that's where I need to be looking, which is why I feel like I keep looking onto the side. And I just want to inform you guys of this because while my internet plays up, I did just say I've got the internet in front of me, but it's not loading. But I will get there in the end. Oh, here we go. We are here. I told you I'd get there in the end. Yaroslav Amosov is the guy. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen much of him, but what I do know is apparently he is a very strong wrestler, and that may well be a problem for MVP because I don't know whether the tactics he deployed last night in terms of just pulling Douglas Lima in as close and as tight as he could to stop him from working was exclusive to Douglas Lima, and if he fights Amosov, he'll do something different on the ground. But like, I feel as though this Amosov guy is probably going to be a lot more active than Douglas Lima if he does secure a takedown. And I don't know whether what MVP did last night would be enough against Amosov. also, just generally speaking, if MVP is going to move to the UFC, there's a lot of very good wrestlers in the welterweight division. The champion currently is a very good wrestler, and the champion is very active once he secures a takedown. So I don't, like I said, I don't know whether it's more work that MVP needs to do off his, in terms of getting better off his back, or if it was just specific to Douglas Lima, time will tell, I guess. Douglas Lima, third loss in a row. I feels like he's now kind of hit his peak and he's back on his way down again. Again, another complaint about Bellator. I don't get why this wasn't a 5-round fight. Like, it's really weird, right? Bellator is so rigid in so many ways that it doesn't make any sense, because you're an organization that has all of these policies in place, but who is it satisfying? Like, who is it for? Because it's not for us, the fans. Do you get it? Like, what? Like, you have these Grand Prix that have 5-round fights, right? And these Grand Prix nobody cares about. But then you've actually got a main event. You've got a packed house. I don't know how many tickets Bellator sell in America, but you finally got a packed house, and the atmosphere last night was electric. It was so fun just being in the arena, hearing chants, hearing the crowd sing to Sweet Caroline and all of that stuff. But like, it's just like, why is it so kind of important to Bellator to remain? Oh no, it's not a title fight. It's not, even though it's a main event. Even though we've got an ex-champion. Even though we've got two of our best welterweights. Even though we've got two of our biggest names in the welterweight division fighting against each other, it has to be 3 rounds. Like, what would happen? Like, what would be the consequence of saying, you know what, actually, this is a big enough fight? The first fight was a 5-round fight between the two. Like, the first time they fought, it was a 5-round fight. But now, no, it has to be 3 rounds because we're Bellator. And Bellator are always going to Bellator. And like I said, I'm going to make a separate video about Bellator and the decline of Bellator and why I'm not very happy with Bellator as an organisation. But for now, I'm going to get off my soapbox and stop moaning. Let me know what you guys thought about the fight. Who do you think won? Put your comments below. Don't be scared to like this video. Share it with a friend if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And please, keep supporting so I can so I can continue buying new equipment that I have no idea how to use, because I feel like I might be out of focus. Like on YouTube, I've favorited a video, or no, I've added it to a playlist or watch later or whatever. A 1 hour 10-minute video of how to use your Sony ZV-1 camera. Have I watched it yet? No. Will I watch it? Probably not. So this camera can probably do 3,432 things, and I'm probably going to learn how to do about 7 of those, and that's how I'll continue my life forever and always. Thank you for your time. I'll catch you guys next time.